the congressional candidates. If you are elected, you don't get to Washington until January. By then, some of the regulations of the health care bill are already taking effect. What are you going to do about it? Pro or con?
Marianne, I'll start with you.
Yes, obviously, Congress, both Democrats and Republicans, went home without, in my opinion, addressing certain issues that should have been addressed. The Bush tax credits cuts should have been extended. I believe they should be extended for people making up to $500,000. And there are certain health care issues that should have been addressed that were not. So the first thing I would do when we get to Washington is change the leadership. And I think 2 months ago, the balance of power was not at issue in the United States House of Representatives. It very much is now. I'm hoping that there are dozens of Marianne Lewises that are elected to the United States House of Representatives come January, so that we can bring some common sense leadership to that institution and govern on behalf of the people that we represent, and not the two-party system that spent millions of dollars to get us elected to that position. As far as healthcare goes, when you are looking at a deficit that we are looking at, in my opinion, it was fiscally irresponsible to embark on the initiative of that very costly healthcare bill. Certainly, as Americans, we are used to a certain standard of living, and the easy part of the discussion is to say that we want to accomplish affordable, accessible health care, quality health care for all Americans. Certainly, that's the easy part. The hard part is how do we define that and how do we pay for it. The problem with the health care bill that was passed was the manner and timeliness of which it was done, and the fact that all interested parties were not part of the discussion or made to be included in the solution of the out-of-control costs of that particular initiative. Certainly, there are things I think that folks can agree on. Tort reform, I would not favor necessarily a cap, but certainly would support tort reform that included that plaintiffs have more skin in the game, that in order to bring worthwhile suits or to prevent against frivolous suits, that it would be more cost to the plaintiff for doing that. Yes, we should allow the sale of insurance policies across party lines. But the doctors, the insurance companies, and a whole host of folks that were not made to be part of that discussion in terms of how to pay for it, were not at the table, and I think that that's what we need to do. We need to revamp it, whether that's repealing it or amend it. You know, I'm less concerned about the method and more concerned about the end. And so those are some of the things that I would do immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Well, back to my slogan, if you will. If you like what I've been doing on Beacon Hill, you'll like what I'm going to do as your next member of Congress. I already voted against the Massachusetts health care bill, and I would be proud to repeal the federal bill. It's unconstitutional on its face. And if we allow the federal government to get involved with taking over more industries and making the decisions that are ultimately belonging between patients and doctors, many of our freedoms are going to be eroded beyond belief. So first of all, a vote. If the Republicans take over the House and we remove Nancy Pelosi from the Speaker's chair and change the leadership within the House, which I think is definitely something that the American people want, is to send a message to the President and to the Senate to repeal the bill known as Obamacare. And certainly we don't think the President would sign that repeal. So to answer your specific question, what we can do as a member of Congress is we cannot fund the creation of these agencies. We cannot fund the expansion of the Internal Revenue Service, 16,000 new agents. We cannot fund the new regulatory system that has to take place before the full bill comes into effect. And we can do that for the next 2 years and hopefully have a different president in 2012 who would sign the repeal of the bill known as Obamacare. So that's how we can effectively stop it from happening. Stop the we need to put back that $500 billion of Medicare cuts. When they passed the bill, they said no one would lose any care because of the cuts to Medicare. What's happening, just last week, the Boston Herald reported that 24,000 people, just in New England, are losing their prescription drug coverage because of this $500 billion cut. That's not what we need to do to reform healthcare. We need to work on the cost side of healthcare. We need to make it more accessible, more affordable to people. And believe me, I'm a small business owner myself, and in fact, because of my work on healthcare, I've been endorsed by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the National Federation of Independent Businesses this week, because they understand, small businesses across this country, they want to provide healthcare to their employees. They simply can't because it's too costly. And so we need to get at the cost side, but we need to do everything to make sure that this bill doesn't move forward.
Joe?